Well, Shawn, welcome to Go For Side Effects. And y'all, I'm your host, Kevin Simon. This is Shawn Laurie, and this is the Sir Veteran Guy, as I know him on TikTok. He is an Afghan veteran, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, what branch he was in, the years. And there's a reason why I'm bringing him on this evening, because I think everybody needs to hear his story. Go ahead, Shawn.
Hey, what's going on, man? First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. I love what you do. So, anybody that's helping veterans, the big, what we go by is veterans helping veterans. So, thank you for what you do. Um, so yeah, my name's Shawn Laurie, combat veteran. I went in the Army, spent from 2004 to 2012. Those are my military years, and it was 9 years total in the National Guard and 5 years total active duty time. And so from '04 to 2012 is my service dates.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons I got in contact with Shawn, everybody, and this is to me is the most important thing. I don't know a whole lot about PTSD. I'm sure I've had forms of it, but once I got out, I went straight into counseling and everything. But we're going to get into Shawn's book after a while and his podcast. I think everybody needs to either get the book and listen to the podcast, but I want them to understand who you are and what you've been through.
That's great, man. So I can just start, talking about my service, talking about what I've done. Um, so to back up a little bit, my dad was in the military. He did 22 years in the Army. He did 4 years in the Marines. And his mama and his brother and our uncle. So I come from a big military family. And actually, one of the funny things is I've noticed is people that come from a military family as children, we really don't look at that as big as a deal as a lot of other people do because we're used to it, right? We live in bases. We're just military brats. So most of my life, I didn't ever think about going in the military. And it surprised you that I was actually 24 years old when I went to basic training, where all these other guys were 18, 19, 20. I was actually 24. We did have a 30-year-old in there. I think he was re-enlisting or whatever. But so yeah, I went and I signed up. Well, actually, this was 2003. I was watching the war in Iraq. We were living in Germany during the Gulf War. I think I was like 11 or 12 years old during the Gulf War. I remember watching, my dad packing his bags. He's ready to go. We were living in Germany, and that was the first conflict that I remember being a child. And so, the war was going on, and it seemed like it was over instantly. And my dad was all pissed off because right before he was getting ready to deploy, they shut down the orders or whatever. So we lived in Germany, came back to the States, and I was growing up, whatever, 18, 19, 20 years old, living my life. And then the Iraq war popped off. And I started watching the Iraq war on TV, and everybody was watching it. We had 9/11 happened, and then, all the war in Iraq. And I just kept saying to myself, wow, I really want to be part of this. I want to do this, man. Like, I want to do something, I want to serve my country. And I'm 23 years old, just getting through a divorce, already got a couple kids, and life really wasn't going nowhere. So I decided to join. I became a combat engineer. The recruiter was like, hey, you like to blow stuff up? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, combat engineer, you're going to get to blow stuff up. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Joined 2004, went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, spent my time there, went through a program called OSIT, which is like basic training and AIT together. So I was there the whole time, graduated, came back, got to my unit, and was only in there probably about a year and a half before they already started talking about deploying us. And at the time, they were saying we were going to go to Iraq, and I was all pumped up, man. I was like, wow, I'm going to Iraq. This is going to be crazy. And then 6 months before we were getting ready to deploy, they came back and said they changed the orders that we were going to go to Afghanistan. And so we were all like, what's in Afghanistan, right? Well, like, what's going on over there? Nobody knew. And but obviously it was a lot going on. So my first deployment was in 2007. Got to Afghanistan. They actually put me in a filler position. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's where you go when I'm a combat engineer, but they needed me as another job to fill.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
put me in an 88 mic job, which was a truck driver. And so I'm doing logistics now, and I've never drove a big truck in my life. I'm driving this 5 ton across the country. It was a fun job, but I was also getting a gun the whole time too. So, I get to go driving and then I'd gun, drive and then gun. So did my tour in '07 and '08. Wasn't a bad tour. Um, there were things that happened. The first week we were there, we ended up, having suicide bombers hit our convoy. We had a lot of mortars. We had a lot of crazy stuff going on, man. And it was just tough. But I ended up leaving a little bit early on that tour because my wife was pregnant and she was having our baby, and my new wife my new wife was pregnant and she was having our first son together, and he was having all kinds of health issues and his shoulders were all messed up. I don't know, he was really messed up. And so it was like we only had a couple weeks left, so there was like an emergency leave. And so I came home and I was like, okay, this is all good, living my life. And then the next year, like not even a year, about 8 months later, they come up to me again and say, hey, you want to go back? I'm like, let's do it. So let's go back. And this time I'm going as a combat engineer. I'm not going as a filler. I'm doing my job. So I'm actually going in as a combat engineer. We go do our training. This is coming up on 2010. And, you know, it was scary, man. They were telling us all kinds of stuff. We were going to be route clearance and we were going to do husky driving and we were going to, we were going to dig up IEDs and just telling us how we were going to lose people, and it was guaranteed. And it was just really scary before we even got there. So when I finally got to Afghanistan, man, in 2010, um, yeah, we were route clearance. I was the husky driver. It was my job to lead the convoy and find the IEDs in the road. And I actually found there's a ward right there. I actually got that RCOM for finding our first IED on our route. Saved a lot of lives that day. It was
Wow.
a good feeling. Um, I've also missed some. I've missed one. I dealt with that for a very long time. If anybody understands what that's like, I missed an IED, and it ended up hitting our guys, and it was like an 800 pounder, and it ended up hurting a lot of guys. Um, and I've dealt with that for a long time, and we can get into that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
that was just something that that happened, and a typical combat zone, man. Being hit by IEDs, firefights, mortars. It was when you talk about a combat tour, that's what we were in. We were in it, and so that went on. Again, we were going. I was about month 9 this time. I was going into about my 10th month, and something that I didn't tell you guys when I was actually training to go to Afghanistan this time. I ended up falling down doing some training and I ended up busting up my leg. And I didn't realize how serious it was. And I knew it hurt really bad, but I didn't care. I was going. And so I didn't tell the doctors anything. So here we are in about month 10 and 11. And I jump off one of the MRAPs on a dismount mission. And I fall down into this huge ditch because we're in the mountains. I don't
Yeah.
know if you're in Afghanistan, there's nothing but mountains. And so we jump off of this MRAP and I fall into this ditch on this cliff, and I just bust my whole leg up. And I didn't know what was going on. My whole neck, my knee swole up like the size of a melon. It was pretty bad. So they got me back to the base later on that evening. We talked to some medics. They looked at my leg and they were just feeding me Percocets, man. They were like, here, eat this, man. And so I started eating them up and I was like, wow, I feel great. And this is during tour. Like I only got a couple months left. And so while this is going on, they pull me off mission. They're like, hey, we want you to do guard tower. We want you just to hang out for the next couple months and then you come home with your guys and it's whatever. I was like, okay, cool. I ended up walking to the chow hall one day. I went on a mission and I just rode with them and I went on a mission to Gardez, and we were walking to the chow hall. And if you've ever been to Iraq or Afghanistan, they have these big old white rocks. They have these big old white rocks all over the base, because it's muddy and dirty and all
Right.
that. And I ended up tripping on one of the rocks because come find out I didn't have an ACL or a meniscus. Both of them were completely damaged. And so every little twist and turn, I would fall down and my leg would be in agony. Well, I fell down in front of the commander. And the commander saw me and he walks up to me and he's like, hey, bro. Well, not bro, but he's like, hey, specialist, come here. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, I need you to come to the office after chow. He's like, I need to talk to you. And he's basically, come see me after chow. I was like, yes, sir. Went and seen him. He's like, look, we got a couple months left. We're in the winter days. We're not going to have that much going on. He's like, once you go to guitar, figure out what's going on with your leg and come back. So that's what I did. I went to Qatar, stayed there for a couple of weeks. It was amazing, by the way. Air Force bases are great. I love it. I was in heaven. I knew then that I should have went Air Force, but they had a swimming pool. They had 3 beers a day. Like it was heaven, dude. It was heaven.
Pisses you
And
off. That's what it does.
yeah, it does piss me off. It actually did. But I was in heaven, dude. I kind of knew something was wrong with me at that time because they made me give up my weapon, and I started feeling really weird. Like I don't have my weapon on me. I'm already feeling very shaky. Like there's some little signs that I was not exactly right. But anyways, that's when they took the MRI and they find out, and the lady said, "I'm not supposed to tell you this." She says, "But you have a complete tear of your ACL, and your meniscus
Mm,
is barely there too." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what does that mean?" She's like, "You're gonna have to have surgery. You're gonna have to have reconstructive surgery." And I'm like, "Oh wow, this is not what I want to hear." So, anyways, I go back to the unit. Finally, go back to Afghanistan. I talked to the commander. He's like, "So, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, we only got a few months. Let me stay." Um, and so I stay for a little bit, and then he comes back to me. He's like, "Look, man, we're getting ready to get out of here." He's like, "Go ahead and go. Go ahead and go home, get your surgery, and then get ready for the next tour." I'm like, "Sweet, we're going to Kosovo next, so I'm ready." Uh, so that's the military story, man. Like I have so many different gaps of my life. Like that's
right.
the military story. Like I leave country on my second tour, and I'm headed to Fort Gordon, Georgia now, and this is in 2011. Yeah, 10 and 11. So this is 2011, and I'm coming to Fort Gordon to have surgery done. And the whole plan is just to have surgery, get back to my unit, marry life. um, so I get to Fort Gordon. Uh, they talk to the doctors. They ask me, "Hey, what kind of medicine you want?" I said, "Hey, I've been taking Percocets." They're like, "Here, have more." I'm like, "Okay, great. That's what I need. I'm in pain, right?" So they start feeding me Percocets. I'm taking them daily. I'm taking them. I'm really at this point. I'm already kind of abusing them. I'm not gonna lie. I was already abusing them
Right.
because it was just. I was already pissed off that I was home. I was already pissed off that I was hurt. I was already pissed off that I the whole point that I'm here. I'm just pissed off the way things are going.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to get my surgery. I just want to go back to my guys. I just want to go back to my unit. Let's just get this going. And I'm telling the doctors this stuff. And they're like, relax, relax. We'll get you done. We'll take care of you. Cool. They're slick. They start putting us in they start sending me to I'm in a medical holds unit. It's called WTU. It's called the Wounded Transition Unit. And so this is a whole unit of people from Iraq, people from Afghanistan that have been blowed up, been hurt, been injured, kind of like Walter Reed is what it was.
Yeah.
And so, but this was in Fort Gordon, Georgia. And so we were all in a active duty unit. We were all had, formations. Like it was a whole real deal. You just had to do doctor appointments all day. And that's what I was doing. I was going to see doctors, and they were like, "Hey, you need to go see a psychiatrist. You need to go see this. You need to go see that." Well, for a couple of weeks there, I just kept telling the doctors, like, "I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, right? Let's get me out of here." Ended up doing the surgery in February. Had the surgery done. All I'm asking is, when am I gonna get out of here? When am I gonna get out of here? When am I gonna get out of here? And at the same time, dude, I'm popping pills, and I'm just, they're giving me anxiety medicine because they know I'm all shaky. So now I'm taking Xanaxes every day. I'm taking the Percocets, and now they're saying, "Hey, are you having trouble sleeping?" "Yeah, I'm having trouble sleeping." "Well, here's a sleeping pill." "Hey, are you having depression?" "Yeah, I'm a little depressed because I'm ready to go home." And they're like, "Well, here, take this pill." Before long, bro, the long story short is I was taking over 16 different medications within that first 6 months of being in Fort Gordon.
Holy
So
crap.
yeah, 16 different medications, all the way from psychosis medicines to depression to anxiety to everything. And the only thing that made me feel great was taking the painkillers and then the Xanax, because it just gave me an euphoria. It made me feel good about myself. So, anyways, that was going on for a while, dude. I started telling the doctors, because I'm already messed up in the head, and I'm telling the doctors, "Yeah, I'm having some dreams." "Oh, really?" Really doing this whole, "Oh, okay, so you're having nightmares, and you're da 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 da, and how do you feel, walking around without your weapon, and what's going through, evaluating me this entire time." They finally come back to me, and they're like, "Look, man, I'm gonna be real with you. You got major PTSD. you got major PTSD, you got major depression, your anxiety is off the charts, you know, um, all this stuff. Like you have schizophrenic disorder. I have all these problems that the doctors are coming up with. And so at this point, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what are you talking about? And so we're just fighting on. Long story short, dude, I ended up being there for 2 years. 2 years from I was supposed to get out of there in a couple of weeks. I ended up staying for 2 years because
Damn.
they ended up saying that I was no longer fit for duty. I was no longer fit for duty because of the PTSD, because of surgery, and all this other stuff, all my depression, too much medical problems for me to stay in my unit. So they ended up telling me that I needed to just go ahead and med board out. And oh, it'll be great. Uh, it'll be great, specialist. You'll get out of the military. You'll be with the VA. You'll get your benefits. You'll get paid. It'll be great, man. Listen. This is the best choice. They talked me into all that stuff, man. And I was like, I finally just agreed to it. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll just get out. I'll get my benefits and I'll live my life. Yeah, that was the plan. And so that's the other part of the story, man. And I ended up getting there all the way to 2012. And at this point, dude, for 2 years, I'm not going to lie, I've been abusing painkillers. I've been abusing Xanaxes. I OD'd 3 times while I was on the base. Too scared to call the sergeant to let him know that I did because they already threatened us that if anybody on this base was to, do anything stupid like take too many drugs or anything, they were going to Article 15 us, or they were going to kick us out of the military. And at this point, I knew I couldn't lose my job. Like, this is the only income that my family has. Like, that's going through my head. What am I gonna do now when I get out of the military? I'm supposed to be a lifer. I'm going on 10 years, and what am I gonna do? But I was an addict, bro. I was just popping pills and snorting them. I was eating probably about 180 milligrams a day of Percocet and Roxy's and Oxycontin, and I was actually chewing on about 300 milligrams of fentanyl patches. So I was chewing on all that stuff, man. I was literally killing myself. I was so depressed and so down at this point that I just didn't care anymore. They ended up sending me home, got to the VA, and they said, as soon as I walked in the VA, they said, well, oh, look at your medicines. They saw the whole list of medicines. And the only two they were concerned about was the Percocet and the Xanax. And they said, okay, well, we can't give you neither one of those anymore. And I looked at her and I said, well, ma'am, to be fair, I've been on these medicines now for 2 years. How can you take me off of them? Like I've been taking
Hmm.
these narcotics for 2 years. Well, I'm sorry, we just can't give it to you no more because the Percocets and the Xanax mixing together is going to kill you and da 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 da. And I'm thinking in my mind, if you just knew how many milligrams I've already taken and I haven't died, like, come on.
Yeah,
But
you'll be all right.
right,
That's what you're thinking.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna be all right, man. Like whatever. Like just give me my meds. And so she gives me a choice. She's like, okay, well, either you can take. She takes me off Xanax. She's like, I can give you Ativan, which is another form of a Xanax, but it's just a lot. It's a lot less. Or you can have your pain medicine and not have your anxiety medicine. Well, I'll be real with you, man. My anxiety was so bad, and I was having panic attacks at least 10 times a day. That's how bad I was. Literally having panic attacks. And I knew that I needed my anxiety medicine. If I didn't have my anxiety medicine, I would freak out. I would do something stupid. I'd hyperventilate. I'd go into an attack. So I'm like, I need my anxiety medicine. Forget it. I'll just, I'll find a way to get my medicine. I'll find a way to get my pain medicine. I'm not going to stress that too much, not knowing that I was actually being sick for not taking it. So I finally get home, dude. Me and the wife, we're doing all right for a little bit. Um, but she's starting to notice that money's going missing. She's starting to notice that I'm spending a lot more of the money and she's wondering where it's going. And it's me, man. I'm running around the streets buying drugs every day. I'm buying painkillers because I can't get them from my doctor. And so, I'm living off of these painkillers because first of all, it's making me feel great, but it's also because it just feels like this is my new life. Like I need these, like I'm thinking I need this to survive. And so on top of struggling with my depression, struggling with my PTSD and all the nightmares and everything I'm going through, now I'm a full blown drug addict. And it's just terrible. So that goes on all the way up to 2016. I'm destroying everything in my life, spending all our money, uh, running around doing crazy stuff. I ended up going to jail because I ended up freaking out. I ended up doing some pretty crazy stuff. I was threatening my family. I threatened my wife. I threatened our kids. I did all kinds of stuff, man, and I blacked out from it. They
And
gave me yeah.
that's what a lot of vets go through, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, when I was in, they did not believe at all in giving you pain medicine. I mean, hell, I had 4 wisdom teeth pulled, and they didn't even numb me. They yanked them suckers out, gave me a Tylenol, told me to get my ass back to work. You know, and you know, to hear this, you know,
But you got to
it's
remember now, I'm in a medical unit where
right,
everybody's messed up. You know what I mean? So the
right,
doctors are doing nothing but scribing meds to all these guys that are shot, blowed up, injured,
and
back
that's true.
injuries. So I'm in a medical unit. So these doctors are just throwing medicine at us. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, it was gold for people that loved it. And you know, I was buying medicine from other soldiers, like buying their medicine and trading my medicine for more medicine. Like, dude, it was crazy. We were almost kingpins on Fort Gordon, dude. We were selling so many drugs. It was just crazy, man. We had a whole clique of us that were just drug addicts and selling and buying just to stay high. I can remember going to formation so messed up that I was actually falling over in formation. And one of my one of our platoon sergeants walked up to me. He's like, "Come see me." You know, like I was just screwing up, man, and I just didn't care anymore. I didn't have that passion anymore. I was just like, whatever. I'm not in the army. I'm not doing this anymore. Who cares? Like, what do I have to live for? Not thinking about my wife and kids, and you
Right.
know, it's just because at the time you just don't think about that. Um, so I made it to 2016, and at this time, I'm trying to do better. My wife comes up to me. She's like, "Look, I can't take this no more. You need to go to rehab. You need to go get yourself fixed. You need to do something because I can't live this way anymore." Okay, cool. I'll do it for you. So I go to rehab. I spend 30 days in rehab. I come home. I'm clean for 2 weeks. I'm clean for 2 weeks, man. And I'm sitting here going, you know what? What if I just snort a pill on Monday? No, what if I just snort a pill on the weekend, but I'm clean Monday through Friday? Saturday and Sundays, I'll get high, but Monday through Friday, you know, I'll be clean. And it was a different type of high this time because the first time I was just popping pills and snorting to fall out and nod and all this stupid stuff. But now I was hiding it. So I was doing it for a rush, you know. Um, Trying to hide it from my wife and all that. You know, the addiction got worse. The addiction got way worse because now I'm snorting heroin. Now I'm in heroin because it's a lot cheaper. I'm drinking every day. I'm drinking like a goldfish because you know why not? Drink, pop pills, snort heroin. I mean, this is an amazing life right now. I'm just having a blast. You know, this is going on. What now? Let's see. Already from 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 5 years of just being a junkie and not doing anything with my life. Um, you know, and then September the 25th, 2016, I reached out to my battle buddy. His name's Barrero. He's from Puerto Rico, and I reached out to him because we were best friends. And just to back the story up a little bit, in Fort Gordon, this guy had attempted suicide 3 times. One time in front of me, he actually wrapped a sheet around his neck and jumped over the second balcony, and he lived. And then he took a pair of scissors and cut himself up so deep that he had to have staples in his body. So
Damn.
he was trying to kill himself. And we had multiple people try to commit suicide on these bases. And this is what the doctors say. Okay, you're going to go to the 13th floor, which is a medical unit. You're in there for 7 days. And then all you do is tell the doctor, I'm okay, and they let you out. And so he wasn't getting help. He was just as messed up as a lot of us, man, but he just wasn't getting the help that he needed, and he was looking for a way out. So in 2016 of September, I shoot him a message on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, bud, how's it been?" We had talked prior to that a few months. Um, Everything seemed to be okay. I shot him a message in September, and no response. Another day went by, no response. I shot him again, another response. 3 days I was trying to reach out to him. I was having a weird feeling trying to figure out what was going on. And after about the fourth day, his daughter shoots me a message and says, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but my dad's not going to respond." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Can you guess?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Is he in jail? What happened?" She's like, "He killed himself." I could hear the anger and the sadness in her voice. She's only
Right.
12 years old, dude. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, can you guess how he did it?" And I'm thinking, I don't know, was it drinking? She said, no, he hung himself, and I found him. And I just, dude, I was numb. I didn't even know how to react, respond to that. I was just like, is this real? Is this really going on? And so anyways, bro, that happened. I started freaking out. I knew my life was headed towards that same destruction, bro. I was like, man, I'm thinking about suicide almost every day myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of life. Why don't I just go out the same way my brother does? You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I'm sick of this life. Who cares? And going into 2017, he's the one that inspired me. So now we're already at about 7 years of me just running wild, getting in trouble, using drugs, losing my mindset, not really caring about nothing anymore, not proud of my service, just everything, dude. And going into 2017, I started being on Facebook a little bit in 2016, and I started reading and seeing different things. And this big number popped up, 22, 22. What is 22? What is this 22? So I start researching. Apparently, we're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, we're losing 22 veterans every day to suicide. Like, this is serious issue going on right now. That was my first, like,
Right.
bam, what's going on here? Like, wow, something serious is really going on, and maybe I'm not alone, right? And so that gave me the idea that I wanted to create this group on Facebook called Vet Life for Life. And what that was supposed to mean is that you didn't have to be a veteran. You didn't have to, you could be a spouse, whatever. We were like representing the veteran life. Like, if you're a spouse, if you're a veteran, it doesn't matter. Like, Vet Life for Life. And I wanted to create a group where veterans could go, spouses could go, a place where people could go and just have a safe place and talk about their issues, talk about what they were going through, just trying to make a difference. At the same time, I'm still killing myself, right? So I got the good heart. I got the heart. I want to help, but I'm not helping myself.
Right.
And so that's going into 2016, 17. The group's doing pretty good. I got admins. It's doing well, on the phone with people, trying to save lives, do my thing. And finally, I get to the point where I ended up ODing on some drugs, and I got really, really sick, man. And I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me, but I knew I was dying. And so I went to the bathroom and I prayed to God, and I was just like, God, please don't let me die. Like, I wanted to live. It's funny that you want to die until you think you're dying, and then you pray to live, right? And
That's
so I'm
right.
in there, I'm dying, and I'm praying to God to please save me. Like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And he saves me. He saves me. I don't die. Do you think that changed me? No, it didn't. The very next day, I was out there looking for drugs, even though I was telling myself, okay, I just got to slow down. I got to slow down. I can do this, but I got to slow down. But it didn't help. It didn't help. So going into 2018, I forget about that incident. I'm just living my life. I'm going, I'm on drugs. I'm still running this Facebook page, trying to hide from the world that I'm a drug addict, right? Like, just trying to maintain. I'm a functioning drug addict, basically. Um, but very depressed, very sad, very down. And 2018, I decide that I'm going to kill myself. This is it. I'm done. I've already destroyed my marriage. My wife is tired of me. My kids are acting crazy. They don't care about me anymore. Like, this is the feelings that I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I'm just a loser. People don't love me. I'm a fake. I'm nothing. I should just end it. So I decide to find the tree in the backyard. I go buy the rope. I do everything. Like, I am planning my suicide to the T. I even plan to kill myself in the backyard in a tree, so that way there's not a mess for my wife to clean up, because I just want them to come cut me out of the tree and I'm good. I don't leave her a mess. Everything's easy. Zip me up, shit me off, whatever. Like, I was at that point, man. And it was bad, dude. And I'll just back up. The reason I got to that point is because I ended up being sick for 3 days without meds. And a buddy walked up to me and he says, hey, man, I got something that's going to make you feel better. And I said, what's that? He said, meth. Now, mind you, did almost all the drugs there was, but I never did crack, and I never did meth. And I always told myself, if I get to that point, then I'm just lost. I was
Right.
at that point where I was snorting a line of meth, and instead of getting me high, it put me in that deep depression. I was like, I was I have never been so depressed in my life. Like I was never that brave to kill myself, and I was going to kill myself that night. It was done. But Battle Buddy calls, man. This is why I represent Battle Buddy, because that day when I was actually planning on my suicide, my phone kept blowing up, kept blowing up, kept blowing up. And it was this one guy that knew me. He was a battle buddy of mine, and he kept blowing my phone up. And I finally answered after the fifth time. He says, "Bro, what's going on with you, man?" I said, "What you mean?" He says, "Bro, I got this feeling that something ain't right. What's going on with you right now?" Because I must have been posting something weird or something. I don't know. But he reached out to me, and I didn't want to tell him nothing, dude. I was just like, "I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine." He's like, "Nah, BS." He's like, "Listen, if you don't tell me what's wrong with you, bro, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to have a health and welfare check on you." He's like, "I want to know what's going on with you." Start talking about it, man. I opened up my mouth. I was like, "Bro, I'm struggling. I'm tired of life. I'm a drug addict." And I mean, I started crying. It's just like it all came out on my lap on this guy. And instead of me feeling like a big baby, he was just, "Bro, it's time to grow up. It's time to get your life in check. It's time to do better." He's like, "You're a veteran. You got this group." He's like, "People rely on you." He's like, "It's time to get your shit together. It's time for you to wake up." Like hardcore love, man. Like, like something I needed to hear. He's like, "You got a family. You got kids." He's like, "You've been doing this long enough. It's time to grow up. It's time to get your head on. It's time to get your head on a swivel, man. It's time." I listened to everything he said, dude, and I don't know what it was, but it just like registered. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of this life, man. Why am I killing myself? So I went to bed that night, dude, and I remember praying to God again, like I did that one night when I thought I was dying. And I was at my last rope again, and I laid there in my bed and I prayed to God and I said, "God, please help me get off these drugs. Help me get my life back to normal." I said, "Because I can't live this way no more. Because I'm about to eat a bullet. Like I am just sick of it. I'm gonna hang myself. I'm tired of this life." And I was just crying into myself, and I was just praying. The next morning I woke up, dude. I didn't have 1 ounce of craving, but I walked up to my wife and something was urging me to get clean. And I walked up to her again and I said, "I got a confession to make." Now this is like a couple years after the last rehab. And she says, "What?" And I said, I've been on drugs again. And I'm 10 times worse than I was before." She said, "You don't think I don't know that?" She says, "You don't think I've been watching our money disappear? You don't think I've been watching how you're acting? You don't think I don't know these things?" I'm like, "Well, I've been hiding it." She's like, "I know." I'm like, "Well, I'm ready to get clean." She said, "For real?" I said, "I'm serious now. I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for the kids. I'm not doing it for my friends. I'm doing it for myself. I'm getting clean for myself this time. Like I'm ready to do it." And she said, "Okay, well, what we got to do?" I said, call a detox center. Call a detox center. Get me in there, and I will go." So she started calling around Florence in her hometown. She found one, and they said, "The only one we found, they needed $600 to get me in." So now, instead of paying money to get high, I'm paying money to get clean. I dropped the $600, barely even have it. I don't know. It's part of my rent money or something. I don't know. But we come up with $600. I go to detox in treatment, inpatient treatment for 7 days. I do the whole 7 days detox treatment center. I come out and I have to go to an intensive, they call it IOP, intensive outpatient treatment center. And I went there for 7 months straight, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. So it was 3 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it was 4 days a week. So you're putting in a bunch of time, dedication to the core. And I did it, bro. I did it. I did it the whole 7 months. And ever since I did that, I haven't had a drink, a pill. I've been clean now almost 4 years. I've been clean and sober for almost 4 years.
That's fantastic.
That's my recovery story. Like that, bro.
It was, I'm telling each and every one of y'all, I have listened to this man talk without him knowing I listened to this man off of TikTok. I mean, I have never seen more people in my lifetime that has come onto your TikTok page and say how you saved their lives.
Insane.
Right. Every mother, the mom, it was about, I'd say about a month ago, this mom's like, "Look, I know that my son is about to get out." And so this is where we're going to get into, to me,
Well,
is the most important. Veterans Mindset 2.0. That's the book you wrote.
sir.
And anybody, I highly recommend this book. If you know anybody struggling, if you know anybody that needs a book about PTSD, it doesn't matter if you're in the military or not in the military. I recommend this book. I totally recommend it. And what would you say now? Almost 4 or 5 times a week, I listen to what I get on there and I
Oh yeah.
listen, I watch
Oh
people.
yeah. Yep. Monday through Friday, I'm on there.
Yes.
Um,
And
so
go ahead.
okay, so what I was gonna do is, man, we're gonna talk about the book now, but I wanted to just reiterate what happened, right? So this is how great God is, and this is how I inspire people, and this is why I tell people that are listening, like, if you just change your life, if you do what you got to do, your life will change. There's no doubt about it. And from 2018, when I decided to finally get clean and sober, I started telling my story on Facebook. I just started going live. I just started telling people, hey man, if you want to get clean, you can do it. I was riled up, man. I was proud of myself. I've been clean for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 7 months. And I was just like, hey, man, y'all can do it. I can do it. You can do it. And I did that. And the amount of people that were responding was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Do you want to go speak here? Do you want to speak? I've never thought about standing in front of nobody talking. Are you crazy? I got invited to Washington, D.C., and I stood in Washington, D.C. in 2018 stood in front of 600 people standing on stage talking. I went to North Carolina talking. I went to Ohio talking. Like I have been invited to so many places telling my story and inspiring people since then. It's unbelievable. And so going into this book, what I did was with my group growing, with the fact that I was reaching out to so many people on social media, I said, you know what? We're raising awareness. That's what we're doing. We're raising awareness for veteran suicide, mental health, and addiction. Those are the three things that I focus on. But we need a solution, right? We need a solution. We need to find a way to really help these people. We can't just talk about it. We got to be about it. And so I said, I need to write a book, and not a biography, not a life story book, but a book that can help people with their mindset, help people get to the next level from struggling. So that's when I came up with Veteran Mindset 2.0. It took me literally about a year to write this book. And everything that I did in this book was basically, started with 5 fundamentals on how to upgrade your mindset to the next level. And as I was writing it, I knew that it wasn't just for veterans. Like if you were a spouse, if you're a man that's been through trauma, if you're a woman that's been through trauma, if you're a kid, if you're a grandparent, if you're a veteran, active duty, non-active duty, whatever. This book was written because it was coming from somebody that was not only struggling with PTSD and trauma as the military man, but it also came with the 10 years of my life outside of the military. So I was able to relate to a lot of civilians in this book. So I wrote the book. It's been phenomenal. It's been absolutely amazing. I got in some trouble on Facebook. I lost my entire account. So I jumped over on TikTok and I exploded on TikTok. I was doing the same thing over there. I was just trying to inspire people, trying to motivate people, and people were just leeching on to me. So then I started going live, the same thing that you see that you jump on every night. I go live and I inspire people. I talk about my story, the same thing y'all heard tonight, but a lot shorter. And I just give them, let them know. I've struggled with drugs. I struggle with alcohol. I struggle with PTSD and depression. And the reason why I'm able to be the person I am today is because I don't allow my diagnosis, well, because I don't have that shirt on tonight, but that diagnosis does not define who I am. I don't teach people how to get over their mental health, their PTSD. I teach you how to live with it, because my goal is not to teach you to get over it. You got to learn to live with it. And so I started teaching people that, man. And then we wrote another book called From No Worth to Self Worth, and we were authors on there. And there I am right there.
When the heck did
Um,
you do that?
this was a couple months after this one.
Okay.
Yep. So this From No Worth to Self Worth, and the beard was a lot longer than that one.
Yeah.
But so started writing books, started traveling. Then I decided, you know what? I really want to get my voice out. That's the most important thing. I don't care about the videos. I don't care about people seeing me. I want people to hear me. So I decided to open a podcast. I said, I'm going to do a podcast, and I named it from, oh my goodness. I named it um, from struggles to success, from struggles to success, because I wanted kind of what you're doing with veterans in the Gulf War and our story. I took it and started interviewing people and also solo episodes about my story and different things that I've learned. But I started taking people that struggle with their story, the things they've been through, and then how did they get to their success, kind of like I just did with you. And so I hear their stories, I give them a platform, and we talk about their story. So now I'm running TikTok, I'm running books, I'm doing podcasts, I'm traveling, speaking on stages, all this because I decided to change my life and become a better person and become a better father and a better husband and start living my life with purpose again. And the one thing I want to say to your followers is that don't never feel like you can't have more than one purpose. That was my problem. When I lost the military, when I lost the army, I told myself I didn't have purpose anymore. I had no reason to live. There was no more purpose in my life, and I've already lost my purpose. So how can I continue to move forward? But once I started getting my head right and I started getting cleared and I started really trying to be better, I found purpose again, and that was to help other people and to inspire and motivate other people. And so
Oh,
that's the basic story, brother. That's
I
that's how I got from that to this.
right. I mean, the first time I found you, I'd probably say, I don't know, I think I shot you a message about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
And every night I get on there, I wouldn't say anything. I just
yeah,
listen. But I started watching how people interact with you and how you interacted with them. And I think I took a notepad one night. I'd probably say at least 10 people that one night said, you totally changed their lives. One guy said if it wasn't for you, he would have committed suicide. And
yeah,
that's why I think it doesn't matter if you're from Afghanistan era, Iraqi era, Gulf
yeah,
War era, Desert Storm era, or Vietnam era. You hit something that's that one of my customers told me when I was cutting his hair. When I got out of the Navy, and I thought I would never say this, but when I got out of the military, going through divorce, but also I was junior sailor of the year Westpac. So I worked my butt off. I had a
yeah,
great Navy career. When I got home, I was nothing. I went
yeah,
through a war. I've been in conflicts. I mean, the volcano in the Philippines. Eh, My mom looked at me, and I mean, I've said this before, and she goes, "You need to get your effing butt over there and get counseling."
yeah,
And that's what the VA offers counseling. I think they're getting better at it,
yeah,
but there needs to be a better solution. And
yeah.
I think a solution is how me or you are doing it tonight.
Absolutely.
Veterans talking to veterans, telling their stories, getting it out there. To me, that's better than going to a psychiatrist. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell you a quick story, really short. We went and did this 3 day equine therapy. Have you ever heard of equine
Mm-mm.
therapy? With okay, so equine therapy is where we help soldiers or veterans with PTSD by using horses. And it's an amazing a thing. It actually really good. It just helps us when you have PTSD, man. A lot of times it's just about learning to trust yourself again and trust others and just loving yourself, right? There's a lot of things that come with it. Horses don't trust strangers. Horses are they're the most human like emotions that like they have their emotions are so close to like ours, it's insane, and they can feel your tension and everything. So the trick is you have to learn to calm yourself and you know be around a horse and get the horse to trust you, and it's just really really good. It's called equine therapy. Well, we were there for 3 days with some hardcore guys, airborne rangers, paratroopers, uh, SF, like some tough guys. We were there for 3 days, and we would have little group sessions where all of us veterans would sit together and just talk about our story, talk about different things. Well, one of the guys there was an airborne ranger. He didn't say much. He said a little bit through the weekend, but he didn't say a whole lot. By the end of the day on Sunday, he stood up and he started crying. He had tears running down his eyes. And he said, I got to say this to you guys really quick. And we were like, what's up, Sergeant? He's like, I've been going to the VA now for damn near 7 years. He said, and they've asked me multiple times what my story was, and I don't tell anybody my story. He's like, but being here tonight, being here this weekend with my fellow brothers and sisters, he's like, this is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. And he says, this is the answer. He says, you need veterans to talk to other veterans. And that's how they get through this shit, is how he said it. And he was crying. He was so passionate. And it was just so moving to see this hardcore guy stand up and say, you know what? This is what we need, veterans helping veterans. And that's exactly like you just said. That's what we need. And that's why I do it. That's why you do it. And he proved that the stigma that's out here is disgusting. How a man can't have emotions. If you're a veteran, you can't have emotions. If you're a paratrooper, if you're SF, if you're a ranger, you can't have emotions. You got to be Mr. Tough Guy, right? It's like, no, you're a tough guy by opening up emotions. You're a tough guy by stepping out and saying, hey, I struggle. That's what makes you a tough guy, by being able to admit that. And so that's what I also teach. But that's yeah, it was just
No,
amazing to see him open up and veterans helping veterans.
right. And one of the guys on here asked, "What is your TikTok name?" So go ahead and tell me. I'm going to tell him. Hell, I'll tell him. It's
Okay,
Sir Veteran
that's fine.
Guy. It's more like
Yeah,
Sir underline score Veteran Guy. And I mean, I recommend any of y'all who have TikTok. Most people in their 50s don't have TikTok. I have it because I thought it was funny.
well,
But
it'll get bigger. I mean, it started off young and then it just gradually going. So there's
kind of
people
like
that are in their
Facebook.
60s and 70s that are on it. It's just another app. It's not a kids app anymore. It's just an app.
Right, exactly. But I mean, I'm telling you, Sean, I first time, second time, third time, fourth time, I said, that's it. I started emailing you, man. You need to come on. You need to talk to the
Took me a
guys.
minute to catch it, but when I did,
Yeah.
I was we
Yeah,
stuck.
yeah.
Yeah.
You called me and everything. And that's how we got connected. This is actually, guys, our first time to actually see
Mhm.
each other. We've interacted on the telephone, text messages, talk, TikTok, but this is our first time to actually see each other. And yes, I feel old, but hey, it is what it is. But, I have a good support group. I have my family. And also, I mean, even the guys that I talked to on here, I still talk to them, John, Lon, and you know everybody, Jay. I mean, I
Good, man.
talk to most of the guys, great, that I've talked to, and I'm going to stay in touch with all them guys
Good.
because we still need each other.
That's right.
And Desert Storm veterans are having a hard time right now getting the VA. Of course, we all have presumptives, but they
Right.
don't approve it and everything. That's why I recommend going to a Christian counselor. If
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to go to the VA. It's somebody to talk to. It's okay to talk to fellow vets, but to me, you got to have God.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that, man. I tell people I'm more of a spiritual Christian because I'm into some other things that people aren't into, but I'm very spiritual, man. I have a very broad, you know, but I tell people I definitely give credit to God and Jesus. I do believe in the Bible, but I'm very spiritual.
Yeah,
It's just, I don't know. I guess that's just the way my personality is, and I'm very open like that. But I would say it's very important to have a higher up, have a higher being. Like you got to have, you got to pray, you got to have faith in something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What's the hell's the point of living this whole life and then there's nothing great at the end of it? Like, man, I just can't see that.
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Me
but
neither. As a matter of fact, that's like a lot of people don't realize. I think I became more spiritual as you get older,
yeah.
and but when I went in, I was still spiritual,
Hmm.
but I didn't grasp it until I got out and I went to counseling. Then I really became spiritual.
Right. Um, man, but I love what you do too, man. I really do. That's why I was so honored to come on because we need to help each other. But I was gonna say this, dude. I was gonna say this. I think the problem with the Gulf War, and this is just my opinion, I don't hear much about it anymore. And I don't think people talk about it enough. I don't think the VA takes them serious. I don't think people think that y'all really did see a lot or hear or breathe in a lot of stuff. Like, I didn't know what you guys had until you told me. I knew my mother-in-law was an MP during Desert Storm, and she said she breathed in the toxins, and there was the oil fields burning, and all that stuff was in y'all system, but it's just not talked about enough. So saying that, it's amazing what you're doing, because
Well,
you've
thank
got
you.
to be a voice for those that don't have a voice. And so that's what you are. Those guys have got to know there's somebody out here for the Gulf War, man. Every war matters. Every war matters,
It
you
does.
know, and what you do,
And I promise you, I ain't stopping.
there you
That's one
go.
thing about it. I,
There you go,
I
man.
mean, I I'm not as mad as I was when I first started this podcast, because a lot of the guys were all going through the same thing. Hell, I talked to a guy from Britain. Hell, they get treated worse than what we do.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, damn. But
There's always another perspective, somebody that goes through
right.
more than we do. Yeah.
As long as my voice still works, and God gave me a loud voice, I'm going to use it.
That's
And
good, man. That's
that's how
exactly.
I look at it. Everything. But I want to tell
And that's perfect.
everybody,
That's how it should be, and that's how most of us are.
right. Well, we're coming to the end of the program, but I want everybody to know the podcast is from Struggles to Success on Apple Podcast. And then your book, to me, is very important. Veterans Mindset 2.0, A Warriors Think Differently, on Amazon.
That's right.
Y'all go look at it, order it, support. I mean, and he travels, and I know you're coming in March. You're coming to Texas, correct?
That's right. We're coming to one thing I
Awesome.
didn't talk about. We do a 22K for 22 every year. We ended up turning the Facebook group Vet Life for Life into an
Right.
actual nonprofit now. And so I'm also a nonprofit owner. And so for 3 years, we hold a 22K for 22. If people don't know what that is, that's like a ruck march that we raise awareness for 22. And so I got some friends in Texas that want to do it down there now. So in March the 12th, we're going to be in Brushy Creek, Texas. And we're going to be walking and raising awareness for veteran suicide then too.
For how many days? Is it one day or?
It's just going to be one day. I'll be there for 5 days.
Well, you know what? I'll meet you out there. I'm not far away.
Oh,
I'm a couple
awesome.
hours.
That would be awesome. I would love to meet up with you, man.
Yeah.
That would be great.
We're going to plan on it. We're going to get together. We're going to talk and everything. But Shawn, thank you so much for coming on to the program. And everybody, go check out his podcast. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
They'll love what you have to say.
And I will be going live on TikTok tonight. So if they guys want to, if anybody's new that sees that's been hearing this, if y'all want to follow me on TikTok, that'd be great. I'll be on there tonight and doing basically what y'all saw tonight.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, you're helping others. That's the key.
Yeah, I've had fun, man. I've enjoyed it being on this side of the table. It's
fun. Different, ain't it?
Yeah, I was more used to this side. Then it was weird being on this side. Now I'm on this side, so it was just great, man. It's great either way, and man, I'm just thankful for you for letting me get my message out there. And
hey,
together we can rise, man.
I thank you. You changed a lot in my life listening to you. It is an honor.
I'm glad to be here. And so veterans helping veterans, man.
That's right. And I will see you tonight on TikTok.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, man. You have a great night. All right. Bye. Y'all, please go to my website at goal4sideeffects.wordpress.com or email me at kevinsimon@goal4sideeffects.com. And please help support this podcast and the veterans by clicking on the link below. Thank you for your support.